Chapter 236, Fierce Fighting Between Warriors in the Heaven Realm. This chapter is updated by Novels.pl. Although young Lord of Poisonous Spider had not yet reached the completion of the Earth Realm, he was a real three-tricks genius. He was able to withstand dozens of attacks from weaker warriors in the Heaven Realm. Otherwise, he would not have the title as one of the 7 young masters in the black market. However, a top young master had just been killed by Zhang Yuochen, and cut into 2 pieces. Even if he took a 5-class pill, he could not be revived. Young master was killed. The evil warriors in the Poisonous Spider Club all stared at Zhang Yuochen with surprise and fear in their eyes. It was like they were looking at a myth of martial arts in the Heaven Realm. General Chai Hun was astonished too. He did not expect that the young 9th prince's martial cultivation could be so terrifying. There was not much difference in martial cultivation between him and the 7th prince. Hu Minggong's anger came to a boil. He let out an ear-splitting roar and swooped toward young Lord of Poisonous Spider's body. He held up half of the body. King Shan, King Shan! Hu Minggong cried out. Young Lord of Poisonous Spider was Hu Minggong's only son, and a top genius too. Hu Minggong loved him very much and held him in his arms. He could not accept the fact that his only son had been killed by a teenager. He felt great anger and grief. King Shan had a very strong life force. Although he was cut into 2 pieces, he was still alive. He said with a trembling voice, Father, haven't you avenged me? Then King Shan truly died. Although a warrior in the Earth Realm had a strong body, it still had its limits. A warrior in the Heaven Realm who had practiced into the martial soul successfully could, despite the fact that he was cut into 2 pieces, seal his blood meridian with genuine chi and form an independent blood circulation in the upper part of the body. He could live for half a month if he had a powerful life force and enough body control ability. If he could find a spiritual dose within that half a month, it would be easy for him to live for several decades. There was a huge disparity between the warrior who had practiced into the martial soul and the one who did not. King Shan put down young Lord of Poisonous Spider's body. He stared at Zhang Yuochen mercilessly with his cold eyes and roared, "Give me back my son's life." Zhang Yuochen looked relaxed and said, "If you can kill me, go ahead." It was very normal to kill for revenge in the martial arts circle. Although King Shan was a myth of martial arts in the Heaven Realm, Zhang Yuochen felt no fear at all. He could see through King Shan's martial cultivation, and it was at the initial stage of the Heaven Realm. There were 7 stages in the Heaven Realm: the initial stage, the middle stage, the advanced stage, the dawn state, the medium state, the final state, and finally, the completion. Their warrior with the cultivation at the initial stage of the Heaven Realm could be the top figure in the martial arts circle in Yunwu Commandery. He would be a myth in the eyes of an ordinary warrior. However, Hu Minggong was injured badly. If he could muster even half of his strength, it would be incredible. Zhang Yuochen's opponent was a myth of martial arts and was superior to warriors in the Earth Realm in many respects, and was definitely a dangerous figure. He dared not look down on Hu Minggong at all. It would seem that there was only one realm of difference between the completion of the Earth Realm and the initial stage of the Heaven Realm, but it is not that simple. Hu Minggong suddenly stamped on the ground with his 2 feet. And a stroke of powerful genuine chi gushed out from his body and poured out in all directions. Impacted by the genuine chi wave, the nearest hundreds of soldiers were all injured severely and spat blood out of their mouths. Half of them fell down on the ground and were not able to stand up. General Chai Hun had already killed Zhao Jian, the master of the King Castle. He was holding the Wolf's Fangs mace and sitting on the back of the savage giant Red Tiger as he rushed toward Zhang Yuochen and said, "9th Prince, Hu Minggong is a myth of martial arts. We are no match for him. You go first and I will hold him off." Hu Minggong laughed darkly and kicked his legs against the ground, making a big hole half a meter deep. He dashed out suddenly and picked up the savage giant Red Tiger and General Chai Hun with one hand. "Go away." Hu Minggong's genuine chi was like the flow of water and carried great power. He threw the savage giant Red Tiger and General Chai Hun, who together weighed 5,000 kilograms. Bam! The savage giant Red Tiger and General Chai Hun were thrown outside the wall of the King Castle. A master in the completion of the Earth Realm was like a child in front of Hu Minggong. They had no chance to resist and were easily thrown aside. Bam! Bam! Hu Mingong reached out his arms and grabbed two soldiers, holding them above his head. He used his genuine chi power to crush their bodies. With his only son dead, Hu Mingong went insane and wanted only to kill. Zhang Yuochen, give me your life. What kind of evil cultivation did Hu Mingong practice? When he activated his genuine chi to the extreme, the skin all over his body turned black and his hair turned white. He was like a demon. Green Devil Hand. Hu Mingong wore a pair of black metal gloves. Under the prompting of genuine chi, the inscription of Light series on the gloves was activated and formed two beams of cold, dark light. One paw struck out and formed 12 paw prints, giving out a clapping sound. Zhang Yuochen stood upright in place and swung his sword 12 times at the 12 paw prints, which created a series of crashing sounds. The gloves and the Abyss Ancient Sword clashed together violently, with sparks flying off in all directions. Genuine chi formed ripples of energy in the air. Hu Mingong's speed reached 220 meters per second. He was like a ghost shadow, spinning around Zhang Yuochen. He struck out countless handprints. Zhang Yuochen went through his paces and 3 human phantoms appeared. It was like a man with 3 heads and 6 arms. He swung a 3-handed sword and turned Hu Mingong's attack into nothing. Reaching the realm of heart integrated into sword, Zhang Yuochen's sword technique was at a very high level. No one could break the defense of his sword technique unless there was a huge gap between their cultivation. Hu Mingong's fastest speed was actually 280 meters per second. He was injured badly, so his speed was affected greatly. That was fortunate for Zhang Yuochen, otherwise he would not have been able to deal with him so easily. Sacred Sky-piercing Sword. When Zhang Yuochen initiated the attack, all of his genuine chi was gathered into the sword like a long rainbow. It penetrated layers of illusory images and thrust at Hu Mingong. Your sword doesn't even have a tip, and you want to hurt me? Hu Mingong smiled coldly. Hu Mingong changed his expression quickly and saw that there were inscriptions rushing out of the break of the Abyss Ancient Sword. They gathered together and formed an illusionary sword tip. The power that a level 9 genuine martial arms had was very terrifying. And Zhang Yuochen had superb sword technique. The point of the sword stabbed toward Hu Mingong. Hu Mingong was forced to strike out another move, the Dark-Handed Devil, attacking the Abyss Ancient Sword's tip. Boom! Hu Mingong fell back 13 steps and had a pain in the palm of his hand. His level 7 genuine martial arms black golden gloves split, and there was a drop of blood coming out of the crack. A level 9 genuine martial arms. Boy, you really are hiding a big secret. The pain in his hand helped Hu Mingong stay clear-headed. He no longer lost his mind to hatred and gradually regained his senses. He was now injured badly and could not muster even half of his power. He would suffer greatly if he fought with Zhang Yuochen. Besides, Zhang Yuochen had the advantage of soldiers and held in his hand a level 9 genuine martial arms. He dominated him completely. If the fight continued, he might fail and die at the hands of a teenager. Hu Mingong was an important figure who had been famous for dozens of years. He was well renowned in the Yunwu Commandery, and was as well known as Mount Shan and the North Star. Even if he were to die in a fight, he would not die at the hands of a teenager. That would be a great insult. There was no hurry to seek revenge. When he was fully healed, it would be easy to kill Zhang Yuochen. Zhang Yuochen, I'll let you live a few more days. Hu Mingong clenched his teeth and put Hu Qingshan's body into the spatial ring. He kicked his legs, flew hundreds of meters and landed on the top of the city wall in Qing Castle. That spatial ring once belonged to Huang Yanjun. It was taken from her by Hu Mingong. Still want to run away? Zhang Yuochen displayed the shadow of the Royal Wind Dragon, demonstrating the speed of 200 meters per second. Both of his feet stood on void space. Every step he took was hundreds of meters apart. Judging from what Hu Mingong had said before, you are hiding a big secret. Hu Mingong already knew that Zhang Yuochen could control the space power. Hu Mingong and young Lord of Poisonous Spider did not let this secret out because they were confident that they could capture him and find out the secret of the space power by questioning him. But now young Lord of Poisonous Spider was dead, and Hu Mingong was injured badly. He might not keep it a secret much longer. There were lots of masters in the Poisonous Spider Club. Hu Mingong was just the chief director of Yunwu Commandery in the Poisonous Spider Club. The other 35 commanderies each had a chief director. The martial cultivation of some were above Hu Mingong. If the Poisonous Spider Club knew about Zhang Yuochen's secret, it would be a disaster. So he could not let Hu Mingong get away. There was a big river outside the king castle that was more than 70 meters wide. The current was swift, with waves rising up 5 meters high. Hu Mingong rushed out of King Castle and regulated all of his genuine chi. It ran to both of his legs through the meridians. He dropped into the river and stepped on the waves. He dashed out again and reached the opposite side of the river. There was a sound of breaking wind behind Hu Mingong before he could take a break. Zhang Yuochen stepped into the void space and chased after him with a speed not much slower than him. Damn! I never expected that he would have reached such a realm. I looked down on him before. Hu Mingong rushed into the dense forest without stopping for a rest. My God! Do my eyes deceive me? Hu Mingong is a warrior in the Heaven Realm. He is a myth, and he is running away from the Ninth Prince. A soldier was standing outside King Castle and watched in open-mouthed surprise at the two masters chasing after each other in the distance. The Ninth Prince conceals his cultivation and is an unparalleled hero with his talent, no less than the Seventh Prince. I think the Ninth Prince is more talented than the Seventh Prince, and the Ninth Prince has only been practicing for 2 years. General Chai Han scolded loudly and said, "Both of the princes are talented." "You bastards! Stop talking nonsense, watch what you say." In the distance, the two figures had turned into 2 black dots. General Chai Han looked serious and said to himself, "The Ninth Prince dares to try to kill Hu Mingong. I have to report this to His Majesty."